Gunfire Reborn is a game that I have reviewed earlier this year and enjoyed immensely. I've been enjoying the development of that game and I'm excited for what's yet to come. However, I've been looking at Steam Early Access to see if there are any others that can scratch that same itch and possibly provide its own unique take. Enter Roboquest, a roguelike FPS where you take control of a reawakened guardian robot. With overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, can this title stand on its own two legs, or will it buckle under the immense praise? So when you start up this game, it starts with a comic book style cutscene, and the first thing I noticed was the art design, obviously. And I honestly really like this style and it fits into the game's lighthearted nature and fast pace of the gunplay and movement perfectly. I really like this. This cutscene is then followed up with a tutorial going over the general flow of the game and the controls. Overall, it's a pretty decent tutorial, but honestly it could have been shortened up a bit, basically because the control scheme is pretty simple. You have a button to do your ability, your secondary ability, and obviously the left mouse button to shoot and move around and stuff. So it could be shorter, but it still works. So after you get past the tutorial, you basically will start your first run. And the first thing, as I've mentioned before about the movement, is it's very fast and frenetic. Same with the gunplay as well. If you guys have played Doom Eternal, Serious Sam, Doom 2016, many of these shooters of this kind of style, it fits it it's very similar to this, which is very awesome. I love that kind of that style. The gunplay in those games are amazing. There's also a great sense of verticality with the double jump and attacking from higher altitudes, so it makes the game feel much more dynamic as a result and helps you just feel very free, something that is done better here than in Gunfire Reborn. You also have unlimited ammo, but you still need to reload, just to kind of keep up that fast and frenetic pace. And there are health replenishments, but they're only at set locations and they're very few and far in between, especially in the latter half of your run. When you start getting really deep into your runs, you'll notice just how far they space these things out. During the levels, you can also find secrets, and these are honestly very vital. Do not skip these. Sometimes it'll be a simple challenge if you just have to jump across something. Later levels get more complex with you having to dodge fire or trying to find some secret combination or go a secret route in order to get what you need. But these are very essential because most of the time you'll get health, a new weapon, and some random affix to a weapon to kind of help out with the with the random feel of the weapons. Even though some of these are very small that you probably won't notice too much of a difference, but like a 10-15%, kind of like that, so you may not notice too much, but I still recommend you try to find these as quickly as possible. And each run will also contain rooms that you'll need to destroy all your enemies in order to progress. And this is when it really feels very similar to Serious Sam or Doom 2016. You'll be fighting and the wave of enemies will just keep going and going until the bar is completely empty, basically, when you kill enough. And it's pretty cool. It divvies up the gameplay a little bit, from the moving from point A to point B. So it is what it is. I don't really have much to say. I guess I'll just say it here. So the bosses are included as well, but there's only 2 so far in the whole game. The first boss that you'll go against is like this digger bot that you see here, and it's just a huge bullet sponge. But once you beat it the first time, it's very easy going forward. You'll know its patterns very quickly. The attacks just become very predictable, and honestly, it's just it's nothing really too crazy. And the second one comes at the end, and it's way more challenging and creative. Probably a little bit too challenging when you first see it. Trying to move around and dodge the various different attacks. But it is an overall more enjoyable boss, especially when you do actually beat it. And now let's talk about the guns themselves. And the guns are split into 4 categories. You have assault, precision, demolition, and technology. And each weapon fits a certain kind of playstyle. Like the assault weapons are mostly for close range. You'll get a lot of your dual SMGs and shotguns from there. Precisions for critical hits. Demolitions, more explosives. Technology, lasers and stuff, etc., etc. I tended to just stick with the precision, mainly because the sniper rifles and rifles in the game and revolvers and stuff have incredibly high critical damage. And also too, some of the other weapons plain suck. I mentioned the dual SMGs. That one was just, the spread on that weapon is insane and it does very little damage. I don't really enjoy using that one. And also any of the weapons that fire in the arc are very hard to really control. I mean, that's kind of a general rule. Most weapons, at least for me personally, if they fire in the arc, I tend to have issues with trying to shoot them, but it is what it is. Honestly, I think a lot of these weapons need to be buffed a bit, either damage wise or in accuracy or fire rate, just something to give them more viability, at least for me. So as any roguelike, you do level up, and there are some RPG elements. So you'll level up when you collect enough cells from the enemies you defeat, and like a lot of roguelikes as well, when you do die, your level will reset each one, so you'll start out at level 1. The health and damage will increase with every level, as well as your ability to pick a perk, and the selection is random every time, and it also varies on the robot you selected, the class of the robot. Some of these perks are incredibly useful, like I would say if they come up, grab them, but others just feel way too situational, and yeah, so that's the situation. I don't know what to say. I feel like I don't know what to say for most of this video. I wish I had more to say, or maybe I'll cut this, who knows. Alright, let's get serious, guys. So you got 4 classes to choose from. They are Guardian, Recon, Commando, and Engineer, and each of them have their own primary and secondary abilities. At first, you'll start out with the Guardian. That one will be the first one you'll have, but the rest will get unlocked through various tasks, not necessarily just for leveling up or getting certain points. It's mainly just from accomplishing certain tasks, like reaching a boss, etc., etc. You'll get them very quickly. The favorite one that I loved was Recon, because that one had a cool stealth ability where you can just really bypass a lot of sections, just going invisible and just like sprinting through and just hauling ass. And once I figured that out, I was like, all right, I'm gonna exploit this. So I was using that. And also, the sniper build that I was using, it just felt very natural to have this. His secondary ability was a knife, and it was pretty useful as well. You could charge up your combo meter, and once you use the knife, you get it'll use up the combo points that you got, and it'll do more damage that way. So it was an overall fun class, and I think all the classes are fun, but definitely some are better than others. So as common for a lot of these roguelikes, you will die, and that's kind of it. And in between the missions, you can upgrade your home base with the bolts that you've gained, and upgrading can unlock some gadgets that are basically passive abilities you can equip before a mission or before you run. You can also get some upgrades to help you get more health from the health bots, more starting weapons to choose from. Most of these aren't really, it's not like a metric increase, like, okay, you'll do like 15% damage, more damage each run or anything like that. So it's much different from Gunfire Reborn in that regard. And I kind of do like this because it puts more emphasis on your skill rather than just trying to get to a high level and you'll eventually beat it. So I do appreciate that approach here. So as I alluded to throughout this review, the game is pretty challenging, and I would say the main reason is just how scarce health is, since it's only in set locations. But there are multiple difficulty levels to go through. Yeah, you have easy, standard, and heroic. And the cool thing I like is when choosing your difficulty, the game states exactly what changes between each difficulty level will be. Like you'll see, okay, you'll have more health here, or you'll do more damage, the enemies will have less health, etc., etc. So you can it's easier to analyze, okay, this is what to expect, which I appreciate. The problem I have with the difficulty is just how much of a bullet sponge some of these enemies can be, especially at higher difficulties. I feel like a lot of shooting games fall to this category where enemies just start taking like crazy amounts of hits while you die in like one, which if you like that kind of difficulty, that's for you, but that's never been for me. It is what it is. But honestly, one of the reasons why I'm struggling to talk about this game compared to Gunfire Reborn is there's just a severe lack of replay value. I mean, once you go through and complete a run, there's very little reason to go back to, even with the alternative paths that they add. So basically, you can unlock certain paths, like if you gain like a key or something and you go back and play another run, there's an alternative path you can go to. So that's cool for some replay, just to see what else you can find. But most of the weapons are the same, and the secrets you'll find are the same. So honestly, to me, there's just not too much reason to replay it. And like I said, the same bosses will appear and not much changes in the enemy variety. So unfortunately, this is the state of the game where it is. Unfortunately, this time around I couldn't test the multiplayer. So far it's only 2-player co-op. It's available right now, but it's only invite only, and there's no quick play option, and that's really disappointing, especially if you're trying to get into a gunfight. And honestly, I feel like that should be something they add, sooner rather than later, to keep the longevity of this game going and to keep people playing. Because the fact that you have to invite people, that's and there's no way to play with random people, it's a bit of a letdown. But hopefully things get added. Overall, I am going to cautiously recommend this. The graphics, the music, I didn't mention the music, but the music is freaking awesome. The movement, the controls, the gunplay, it's all really solid. It's really good, really polished. But there's just a serious lack of content and replay value. It really lacks the roguelike elements you see in other games and the randomization to keep things fresh going forward. To keep you playing over and over again. And the enemies can feel a bit too spongy at times, as well as some of the weapons just feeling a bit underpowered. Honestly, at this state, I'd recommend Gunfire Reborn over this one. It's also cheaper. It's $11.99 versus $20, so I definitely feel like you'll get more bang for your buck with that. However, I think the speed and the movement is way more enjoyable in this game than Gunfire Reborn. So I'm really hoping that they can put some more content in the future, because I definitely do feel like the potential is incredibly high with this one. It's on an Unreal Engine versus the Unity engine. I believe Gunfire Reborn's on a Unity, but I know this one is on Unreal Engine 4, so it's already a step above there on a technical level. Honestly, like I said, we need to see more content, and especially more bosses, and also what I mentioned too, the multiplayer with the random people. That's got to happen in the future. I really hope so. Either way, thank you guys for watching as always, and this is Powerhouse signing off.